Hey, Don here. Yeah, I just got home from work, and I'm not going to give the name, but a brother from Australia has been asking about salvation with his kids and some different inquiries concerning that. And I thought it would just be easier to kind of make a little video here and just upload it where he can click on it about I was thinking while I was listening to what the brother was saying about his boy's salvation. I'm thinking of my own. I was saved when I was around 6 years of age, and the Bible's clear that the Holy Spirit will. Um, the work of the Holy Spirit is to come in and convict of sin, righteousness, and judgment. And it's, I'll just say my opinion. I believe it's a fact, but I believe that the Lord, through the Holy Spirit, will come in and start working on a child from a young age and start showing them, hey, you just did wrong again. You know, whether the child is exposed to the word sin or not, the Lord impresses upon that child, hey, you just messed up again. You just did wrong again, didn't you? And the child may not reveal that conviction to adults, but the child is, with the Holy Spirit working on him, he's counting the cost. He's calculating it, and he's realizing, gee, I'm kind of a bad kid. You know, I'm messing up left and right every time I turn around. I'm either disobeying mom, or I'm doing something naughty, or I'm having bad thoughts, or whatever. Never underestimate the sin that's in a child. I know it can be deceptive. They're cute and they're innocent, uh, but you're born in sin. Um, and once you realize that, I mean, the sin is there, but Paul said, I'm trying to remember the quote, but he said, when sin revived, I died. And it's basically when you get to the point where you realize, whether you use the word or not, I'm a sinner, where you realize that there's a God up there. Mom and dad talk about a God, or I've been in a church, flaky church or not, they've talked about there's a God up there and he's watching us and such. And I know, and the child's under conviction of, I'm sure that I'm a sinner. I'm sure that I've offended God. I'm sure God is not happy with how I'm living as a 5-year-old, as a 6-year-old, as a 7-year-old, as an 8-year-old. And the Lord will then give opportunity. Once the Lord sees that the child is under conviction for his sin, he's not just going to leave the child in that condition. He's going to, I believe, wait or impress upon the child, hey, I need to fix this, or I need to turn this around somehow, or what am I going to do about this? I've heard mom and dad, or the preacher, or whoever, I've heard somebody talking about, hell, where bad people go, that kind of thing. The child gets under conviction, and see, this is very important. It's not just a matter of teaching the child the verses and teaching them about salvation, and that those things are important, but it's a heart thing. It's not just a knowledge thing, it's a heart thing. So the child realizes, oh, I must be a sinner. I must be what they're talking about, or I'm a bad kid, whatever. The child gets under conviction. And then the child at some point it's like, what do I do about this? I have to fix this, or I have to somehow, get things right with God or whatever. The Lord will, at that point, obligate himself to get that child the plan of salvation. He's not just going to leave that child sitting there without an answer. He'll get salvation to that child if he has to drop it to them out of an airplane in the form of a track, and the child picks it up and has an opportunity to do something with it. For me, it was it was a crisis for me, because I realized very early on, I'm in trouble. This is bad. This is bad news. Now what do I do? And it was a crisis, and I needed a solution. I was looking for a solution as a 6-year-old. And the Lord went out of his way to make sure that I was sitting right in front of a Baptist pastor's kid who Dad had said, try and get some kids to vacation Bible school, Sunday school. Tell them, there's going to be cookies and stuff, and try and get them to come. The Lord arranged that. And I ended up going there, heard the gospel for the first time, and I responded in a positive way, and I got saved. Now, if I had at that point rejected that salvation and said, well, no, maybe I'm not that bad, or whatever the excuse would have been, the Lord would have, I believe, pulled back and said, okay, see you, maybe at the age of 12, I would have had another clear opportunity. The Lord would have convicted me again, heart. And I would have been like, oh man, I'm worse than ever now, because puberty is setting in or whatever. And then the Lord would have come back. Maybe I would have found a gospel track, a chick track on a bench, or some kid come up at school and give me a gospel track, whatever. The Lord would have found a way to get me the gospel, to give me another opportunity, and see if I responded in the right way. I'm saying all this to say that the heart has to be in it. It's not just a head knowledge, or it's not like you say, Bobby and Susie got saved, Mommy and Daddy got saved, so I want to be a part of the group. And I knew a pastor's family that was like that. And they were homeschooled. Everything was done at home. Those kids were basically trapped at home. And anything that was going on at home was important. And that was their social atmosphere. So, older sister said that she got saved, and the other sister said she got saved, and Dad says you need to get saved. I need to play along. Emphasis on play. I need to be part of the group. They're going to get baptized. We're having a baptismal service, and they're going to go down to the creek, and they're going to get baptized in front of the church. I want to be part of that. That'll be kind of exciting. That'll be, I'll be part of the group, and then, I won't be left out. And that's all that was. And I'm not going to say those kids didn't get saved, but I don't think they did. And the proof is in the fruit. And after the so-called salvation, and then the baptism that followed, not there, just not there at all. For a long, long, long time, not there. Just wasn't there. You know what to look for. If you have the Holy Spirit inside of you, you know what to look for the Holy Spirit in others. And the Holy Spirit wasn't there. The heart has to be in it. It's not just, Bobby and Susie are doing it, so I'll do it. Or, okay, you want me to say a prayer? Let me say a prayer, It's, you're under conviction first. That's very important. Your heart is it's like a marriage. How does a marriage begin? I mean, our salvation and our relationship with Jesus Christ is likened unto a marriage, a bride and a bridegroom. You first maybe see the man or the woman that you're like, ooh, who's that? Or whatever. Now your heart's interested, right? Or you meet them and your heart's interested. And there's some strong feelings, there's some emotions, some feelings, some things going on in here way before you ever say, hey, will you be my girlfriend? Will you be my boyfriend? Will you marry me? And then you go down, you walk down the aisle and you say, I will, till death do us part, that kind of thing. Long before the confession with the mouth takes place, the conviction of the heart takes place. Both have to take place. And that's how a real marriage takes place. And like in my case, has lasted almost 40 years. I would say if you're worried about it, and you should be, and in doubt, and that's normal, they're your kids. It's a much bigger question than going to college or anything else that you can think about with your kids. I would play some Christian music. I would play some hymns regularly. And I'll even say this, I've turned my comments off, so I guess I don't have to worry about hearing the comments on this, but I would even say, when I was a kid, there was some cheesy Christian movies. Thief in the Night was one. It was the Rapture movie where the wife is left behind and the husband was saved and she gets left behind. I think it was Thief in the Night. Now, some of these movies, The Burning Hell, there's another cheesy one. God, through the Holy Spirit, has taken some of these low budget, cheesy, and sometimes they're quoting the wrong Bible. You know me in the Bible. You know me, and you know my my thoughts on New Bible versions and bad doctrine and all the rest of it. However, sometimes the Lord will use one of those flaky movies and get someone under conviction. Someone quotes the wrong Bible version, and the storyline, it doesn't exactly line up with what we know, like how the rapture would go, or whatever, but the Lord uses it. And then you find that the individual, whether it's an adult or a child, they're watching it and they get under conviction. And don't confuse this. There's a fine line and you have to know where it is. Like the Passion movie, forget the Passion movie. That thing was out to lunch and it was blasphemous, okay? You have to know you have to use some discernment, and maybe you have to watch it yourself first. Just myself, and call me whatever you want to call me. I would recommend the Thief in the Night movie. I don't know about all the rest of them that came after, or maybe the Burning Hell movie. That either one of those, flaky, low budget, not exactly 100% kosher, but you know what? Those two movies have been used by the Holy Spirit. When I was a little kid, I watched that thing. It still gives me goosebumps to this day. Knowing what I know about the Bible, it gives me goosebumps. Scares me. I would use something like that. I would play some hymns. I would maybe read some stories about that have to do with heaven and hell and that subject, things like that. Get things like that going where their imagination is going and they're thinking and they're like, and they can be put under conviction of, am I really saved? Is my sin really taken care of? That kind of thing. Get the heart. See, all that stuff has to do with what's going on in their heart and in their gut. And then they'll come to you and say, Dad, I watched the movie, or I was listening to this music, or I was, you read that story, or you and mom were talking about, someone that went to hell, or, something. And I'm, I'm concerned about that. I'm worried about that. I'm not sure that I'm going to heaven. I'm not sure that I'm saved. Okay. That is the right time. They come to you. You don't go to them. They come to you. Now they're under conviction. They're under conviction. They're scared. At that point, you've set them up, but you need to sometimes, just like in street preaching, you got to set them up, put them under conviction if you can, the Holy Spirit using it. Once they're under conviction, you present them with the gospel, real simple, 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4. You can do just a basic Romans 10. You don't have to go into something deep in Romans 10. Just, hey, look, you believe in your heart, you confess with your mouth. You need to confess, believe and confess, 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4, the gospel. Do you want to do that? If they do that to the best of their ability, God responds. God promises that he will save them. They're coming with their heart and their mouth. When I got saved, when I was like 6, and some of you have heard this before, when I did my salvation prayer, really believing, when I was thinking of the burial, the death, burial, and resurrection, in my mind, I was thinking Jesus died on the cross, and then he was buried in a barrel, because I'm a little kid, and I'm thinking barrel, right? That's how I was hearing it, barrel. And I was thinking of Jesus Christ being buried in a barrel. And then he was resurrected from the barrel, from death, right? Resurrected. And that was what I confessed. And the Lord honored that. He's like, okay, this is a little kid. And death, burial, and resurrection. Doesn't matter if the burial was in the ground, or if it was in a tomb in the rock, or if it was in a barrel, or in a casket. Buried is buried. And the Lord saved me, man. And I'm telling you, I was preaching on the playground the next day. I got in trouble from teachers. I didn't know what preaching was. I didn't know what witnessing was. I didn't know what the Great Commission was. I knew none of that, none of it. All I knew was I had some good news and I was going to share it. And I was out there, oh, hey Jeff, let me tell you something. I know how to go to heaven. You don't have to go to hell. Hey Bob. And that's what I was doing. Tell me that wasn't the Holy Spirit in me. But it came with conviction first. There was something going on in my heart inside where I was sincerely concerned. I wasn't trying to please nobody but God. It wasn't a popularity contest. It wasn't trying to belong to anything. In fact, I got saved. I've heard of stories about when my parents supposedly got saved, but my parents, the best they had done at that point was take me to a modern Methodist church where we made Easter baskets. My parents may not even have been saved at that point. They certainly weren't preaching the gospel to me. They certainly weren't telling me about the gospel. So it wasn't any pressure from my parents. In fact, I hated church at that point because of the church I'd been going to. I wanted nothing to do with church. I just wanted to go play with my friends in the neighborhood. And I was always happy when church ended so I could go home and play. So it wasn't any kind of pressure from the parents. There was no adults pressuring me or anything else. It was a kid from school that we would joke around together. We were a couple of nuts. He invited me to come to Vacation Bible School. I heard the gospel for the first time after the Lord had put me under conviction about that. And I responded, and I'm like, yeah, I want that. Yes, I'm in. What do I have to do? And then I got saved. So I hope you understand what I'm talking about when it comes to your kids. Maybe pray about it and ask the Lord, how can I be used, or how can I help things to where I can expose my kids to things that might put them under conviction, and then have them coming up to me asking about this. Whether it's the couple movies that I talked about, not the Passion movie, or certain music, or a story that you read, or just conversation. Involve them in some conversation and just, see where it goes. If it doesn't go anywhere, then bring it up again. And, that would be my recommendation. You want to first get a response from the heart and conviction where they're concerned about it and they're coming up to you concerned about it. Then the knowledge of the gospel and how to take care of it, and believing and confessing with your mouth and getting it taken care of. And you can't foul that up because the Lord is in it at that point. And whosoever cometh unto me, I will no wise cast out. Whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. You come to him the best way you know how, believing and confessing the gospel, and he's going to save whoever. You can't foul it up. All right.